Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Mike Gomes. Today, we're going to go over like a real analyzation of an actual deal that we submitted an offer on. So literally everything that goes into us giving an offer, that's what we're going to go over today. So this is an on-market deal that we were submitting an offer on that we wanted to buy and fix and flip. So this is a real analyzation of how a real cash buyer literally runs their numbers on a fix and flip. So first things first, we're going to go over the after repair value, what this thing would resell for on the open market after we do the renovations. We're going to go over how we get those numbers. And then for two, we're going to go over exactly what our rehab would look like. What will we do inside this property in order to get up to that ARV? I have real live pictures of the actual walkthrough. I'll show you guys exactly what we were trying to do to the property if we were going to buy it and fix and flip it. Then we go through our deal analyzer. We take those two numbers that we get, like our rehab budget and what we think we could resell the property for, and we bring it through our deal analyzer and analyze what exactly we need to give for an offer in order to do this deal, like line by line, all the hidden fees and all these little things that nobody else talks about of what we got to factor in when we're giving an offer. So let's get right into it. Before we do that, please like this video, subscribe to the channel if this channel is giving y'all any value. Now let's get into how we come up with this ARV. I got my man Felipe here helping me get this ARV, so let's get into it.
Alrighty, so this is our subject property. Let's move this out of the way. So what I've been told is we can add another bedroom. So we're going to assume this is a 3-bedroom house, 1,400 square feet, 2 baths, right?
Love it. Okay. So here's what's important. Let's run down like what's important while running ARV. What do we got?
Square footage.
Square footage. Okay.
Bed and bath count.
Bed bath count. Okay.
And then the type of house it is. 1 story, 2 story.
Okay. Any other things?
And then one more thing is the age of the house, when it was built.
Year built. Love it. Anything else?
That is about it for the actual house. And for the location of the house, that is also important. I like to look at this time of day where the market's at. I like to look back 90 days prior, since what's happening in the news, we can't use comps. That's too far back.
Okay, so love it. That's got it. Now we're looking at comparables, which is like the properties around the area. How do we justify what property we should compare this house to? So Felipe just named off all the physical things of the house. Okay, now we got to name off a couple of different things. One, how long ago these properties, the comparable properties, sold. And Felipe said he likes to look back 90 days tops, especially in this market because this market's shifting. Now, we also got to look at one more major thing. What's the last thing?
The location of the house.
Location, love it. Which means like you don't want to be crossing any major highways. You want to stay typically in like a 0.5 mile radius. And then you also you would like it to be kind of in the same complex, like in the same cul-de-sac, in the same neighborhood type. If
Correct.
you have to go out, then you do, but you're better off going back in time and then cutting a percentage off of your ARV for the market correction and finding a property that like just sold near the crib rather than going outside of the neighborhood. So let's look at this.
So what I like to do first is I go on more, and I like to filter out everything that I don't want to see. So I put in the square footage. We know it's 1,400. So I put in right in between there, so 17, 1,200. And
so where did you go to get this? You're on Zillow.
Yes, I'm on Zillow, right? So the filter feature on Zillow actually helps a lot. So because I don't want to keep looking at a whole bunch of houses, I want to look at houses that are somewhat in the same range of my subject property.
Love it. So you go on Zillow and you're looking somewhere around that area. So an easy way to do it is just to go in that little search bar to the top left-hand corner and type in the address and then click outside of the picture and boom, it'll bring you to the neighborhood. So
this is what I do. I look at my subject house. I click outside on the little map. I zoom out a little bit so it becomes white. and that's when I start messing with my filters to get it into the same size of my subject house.
Because now the map is located pretty much right near where the house
Yep.
is.
hmm So I'll zoom out a little bit. I've noticed that there is a big like main road that goes around this neighborhood. So I'm gonna focus in here first, right? So I know that I can add another room. So we're working with 3 rooms. So I start looking for square footage first. So I know that this is 1300 and this is
Okay,
1500.
okay, hold on. Slow down really quick. So we're looking at the physical things of the house, right? There's some things that we can't really change,
hmm
like the style of the house, unless you start doing some crazy repairs to it and like build up. You're probably not going to change that. You're probably not going to change the square footage. You could add an addition or whatever the case is, but probably not. The typical things that you could change though is the bed bath count. Obviously, you can't change the age of the house unless you just knock it down and build a new one. But you can change the bed bath count. So what we did is we went on this appointment and I actually was there physically walking it, realized that we can add a third bedroom. So while you guys are looking at properties on the market, look for these little things that you can do in order to up the value, like add a bedroom, because that's an easy thing to do. It doesn't really cost that much. It's not really an extensive type of project. You could just add a bedroom really easy or add a bathroom really easy if there's room. So, how I found this deal is it came up right to my email and I was like, dang, this isn't a bad price. I know it's kind of out of the buy box as far as a good number just because I know the area. But if I could add a third bedroom, I think there might be some potential here. So that's why I went on the appointment. But it's important to know while you're running the ARV what you can do to the property and what value you can add because you want to run your ARV off of that value. So you don't want to be running the ARV off a 2 bedroom right now because we're going to make it a 3 bedroom. So what Felipe is doing is he's going to look at properties that are 3 bedrooms.
Exactly. So I'm looking around. I see this is 4 bedrooms, and I see this one's 2 bedrooms. And I want to stay in the circle for now. So let's just take a quick look at these subject houses, right?
Mm.
So from what I've learned, if you add a bedroom, if you take away a bedroom, you're adding 10,000 or you're subtracting 10,000 to the total ARV of the house. So if we do a quick look, we're trying to do a fix and flip. So I'm looking for something that looks like it's been flipped. It looks like it's neat. This one obviously looks like it's been flipped. You can see the granite countertops. Here, I always like to rush to the kitchen and the bathroom because that's kind of where you know what's been done to the house. The bedrooms, they don't need to do too much. As you can see, this is a good looking house, good condition, right? So keep that in mind for 435, 1,500 square feet. So let's look at this other subject house. Oh, one more thing, let me go back. This is a ranch. So it's actually not a comp that I would use personally unless I absolutely have to, and it's the only one. But since there's only one level, I'm gonna most likely exclude it from my comping. So let's take that out and let's take a look at this one. This one is 2 stories. As you can see, our subject house is also 2 stories. You can see the windows up top. So I'm gonna look here and see what's going on, right? So this one looks like it's in good condition as well. Everything looks nice. The kitchen
Oh, that's
looks
another thing we forgot. We're looking at properties of the same condition. You just mentioned that, but I mean,
exactly.
of the condition that we're going to resell it at.
Exactly.
You
I'm
want
not going to use a rehab look a destroyed property as a comp because I'm looking to sell it as a pristine, brand new, renovated property.
love it. So when you're running numbers, right, and you're trying to find an ARV, that means once the thing's repaired. However, you can look at comps from properties that have just been sold that are in distress if you're wholesaling, because that might be a good potential prospect property to look at for your buyer if you're wholesaling the property. So you can look at
Exactly.
properties that look the same if you're wholesaling, but if you're trying to come up with a fix and flip number or you're looking out for your buyer and seeing like what property they would ever buy it at and then adding your fee on top of that, you want to look at properties that were recently renovated.
Exactly. I was going to get to that, but that is a good way to know your buy box, where you want to be at if you find a distressed property that's been sold recently. So as you can see, this house has been, fixed up a little bit. It looks like it's in good condition. Nothing's really distressed in the property. So I'm pretty interested in this property as a comp for now.
Mm.
But I do know this one has 4 bedrooms, so I know that ours is only going to be 3 bedrooms. So I'm going to just deduct 10,000. So I'm at around, 420,000 for ARV, right? And what I also like to do is just look around. I'll go over the border just to kind of get an idea of what's going on. I don't use it. I just take this part with a grain of salt, but that's just so I know, get a feel of the neighborhood and the town. Since we're doing it at a massive scale, I like to get an idea of what's selling around the town. And then once I kind of feel like I found my subject property, I'll actually go back even more. So I'll go to 30 days prior. And you can see it's still here. So this is actually a super recent sold house, sold last month. So
That's a really
I'm
good
very,
comp.
mhm.
So
So I'm very,
one thing you could do, I like what Felipe is talking about, like how you said add the 10,000 for a bedroom. So we could do that. So let's just say this thing, hold on one second. Okay. So one good thing Felipe was saying was to add or subtract 10,000 bucks for a bedroom. So you can use this as a comp. It is a two-story house. Now it's a little bit smaller than ours. It's about 100 square feet smaller than ours, and it's also one bedroom bigger than ours. Okay, it's same bath count. Now it's also built much longer ago than ours. Okay, which helps us out. It helps our ARV out. I think ours was built in the 1950s, maybe
yep, 1952.
1950s. Okay, love it. So we don't have, especially in Massachusetts, like we don't have to get caught up so much on the year built because these houses are built like all over the place. They were built in the 1800s, as you see this one. Some of them were built in early 1900s. Some of them were built just recently. So it's not like other parts of the countries where they have like these pockets of, these brand new homes that were just built in within the last 20 years. New England's old, so there's properties everywhere. So what you can do, right, is you can look at this. Let's just use this as a comp, right? Let's not even go any further back. This just sold literally like 2 weeks ago. So we don't even have to really factor in our market correction for like if it was 90 days ago. Okay, so let's just use this because it's super recent. It's a two-story built, but let's just tweak the numbers a little bit. Okay, let's look at what this thing sold for price per square foot. What is that?
Yep, where to go? 326.
So this thing sold for $326 per square foot. So you see up there it says 1,326 square feet. Times that by 326, and you get the purchase price. So what we can do is go to our subject property, and what are we? 1450. Okay, do 1450 times 326.
Yep.
Does that one on Peyton Court have a garage?
I don't see one. It's a driveway. Yeah,
Okay,
just a
so
regular.
we have a garage, which is going to help us out.
Yep.
So what's that per square feet? 1450 times that.
So we come out to 472,000.
Okay.
Yep.
So that brings us to 472 per square feet. But we got to realize that there's an extra bedroom on this one. So we got to subtract another 10,000 bucks.
Which brings us to 462.
462. All right. So now what we're looking at, right? For me as a fix and flipper, one, I want to be conservative for the market shifting, right? Because the market is shifting. Even though this is super recent, the market still could shift. So I'm definitely running my numbers for that. But like raw ARV, you could say 462. For me, I would I would go off of like, what do they call this? It's pretty much like the lump prices. Like you don't sell a property, like you wouldn't list a property at 462. You know what I'm saying? You would probably list it somewhere around maybe 450. because that's just a round number. Okay. And hopefully somebody is going to offer over that number. So one, I would look at that number as 450 being a list price for the ARV, but that's also not factoring in if the market keeps shifting. So as of right now, on all these projects that we're doing, I'm timesing everything by 95%. So the ARV, I'm timesing it by 95%.
Which comes out to 439,000.
Well, hold on real quick. If we're gonna bring it down to 450, right? As it sits right now, if this was my fix and flip, I would list it at 450. So I'm kind of looking at like what is the list price right now. These properties really aren't going over ask like they used to be. So as it sits right now, if it was fully renovated, I would be comfortable listing it at 450 or like 449. Okay, because that's like a lump price. So that's what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it a lump price. It's like a even number. It just makes sense in people's brains. Doesn't make sense for somebody to list it at 462 or 457. Just doesn't make sense. You don't see that. Okay, so 450 is what I would list it for right now and hope for a buyer at 450. But I'm looking for a market shift. So let's just say we're looking at 5%. I'm going to times that by 95%, which brings us to 427.5. Okay. So 427.5, Felipe, what do you think is a even number to list it at? If 427.5 is the ARV that we're looking at, 4 months down the line.
I'd say, a good is in between 425 or you can do 430. But since it's a market correction, I'd rather just go lower and assume the worst, that it's gonna go lower.
Love it. Okay, cool. All right, so boom. Thank you, Felipe, for that ARV. Who'd you learn from, dog?
Man, I don't know. I think it was you, but
Nah, that was some really good stuff, bro. Like Felipe really, really knows his stuff. Felipe, where do people find you at? Like if they have questions on ARVs or how to talk to sellers or anything like that.
you can find me on Instagram on Felipe Steps, Felipe.steps. That's the best way to reach me at. I
What is
respond
that,
to all
bro?
my
What
DMs.
steps?
My last name is Passos, so if you translate that in English, it becomes Steps.
Okay.
Hmm.
Like steps, like walking.
Yeah.
Love it. Cool. Yeah, that was a good job, bro. Felipe, like I've never had a problem with Felipe when it comes to ARVs and stuff like that. Typically, whenever Felipe brings a lead up to the table and he's like, bro, I think this is a deal, it is a deal. So keep rocking and rolling with your ARVs, dog.
Yes, sir.
Next thing we got to go over is the rehab costs. So this is tough when you're just going by pictures. You can kind of get a pulse on it. I know a lot of people just use they'll use like an estimator where it's like, hey, per square feet, depending on the type of rehab, like scaled from 1 to 4, 4 being the absolute worst, 1 just being a very light cosmetic type of thing. They'll go through like, hey, if it's a 2 and it's 1,200 square feet, here's what the rehab cost is. Now we do have that as well for like Felipe. I have an MAO calculator that has all that stuff, and it's like it's pretty much like the rehab cost per square feet. That's what it's ran by. So I do have that as an MAO calculator just so we can run numbers really quick. But me, I have a fix and flip background. So I have kind of been in construction. My pops was a drywaller. Well, still is a drywaller, but I used to hang out around him doing, work with him. And as we used to do work, we used to do a lot of work for fix and flippers. And I kind of would pick all the fix and flippers' brains. And I ended up getting really close with one of the fix and flippers. And he was kind of like my first mentor. So I learned the game from there. So for me, I can kind of just get a pulse of it. But what I'm going to go over is I'm going to go over the pictures that I took and what would need to be done in the property in order to add that third bedroom and in order to add the value, in order to do the open concept and all that stuff and what this stuff would cost. So I'm going to go over that right now. Okay, so we'll start with the inside of the property. This is the upstairs. So as you can see, there needs to be a lot of paint and drywall repair. Just nothing like major when it comes to drywall repair. There wasn't really any like crazy patches that we had to do. It was just a lot of like patching when it comes to like crack work and stuff. We just had to patch over some cracks. So it'll be a little, probably minor drywall repair, I would call it, and then paint over the whole entire thing. This is upstairs. These windows throughout, they're actually pretty good. So they're vinyl. So what you want to look at when you're looking at the windows, you want to one, make sure that they're vinyl and not the old wood windows. Okay. So if they're the old wood windows, and you definitely want to get them shits out. If they're vinyl, you want to make sure that the seals are good and that they fully work. So you want to like unlock these little things right there, put the window up and down and make sure that it's secured and that it seals well. And then you also want to look at the glass too. Sometimes you'll see, Felipe, you ever seen these windows that like the glass looks super foggy on the inside?
Yeah, definitely.
Like those ones are no good. You're probably gonna have to get rid of those windows, or you're gonna have to um repair the glass. And sometimes it's just better off to just get a whole new window. So same thing. This is the upstairs bathroom. A lot of drywall repair in this one, but this is just a full out bathroom renovation. Like everything needs to be done here. New vanity, new toilet, full gut. Like we'd probably just fully gut. I think there is probably some drywall in the shower. We'd probably just take all that out and just do a whole new bathroom. Just rip them in place. The tub is nasty too. Oh yeah, it's tile up there. Like we just rip all this shit out. Doors throughout, we'll be doing the doors. So if you look at this door, we would replace all these doors with new doors. Some flooring repairs right here. Like throughout the whole entire house, the floors weren't that bad. But there was this little thing right now. I don't know if it was like an animal or something that was getting at this, but this is just a minor repair. This probably won't be too much money. Other than that, we'll refinish the floors. But this, something like this, that has to be replaced with like a new panel of the flooring. Other than that, we'll just refinish the whole entire floors. We could probably just paint over that. That's not like mold or anything. It looks like, I don't know, it looked like there was a fire or something like that. But this is where you see these cracks. We'll have to just fill that in with drywall. Up here, what we'd probably do is we'd probably just re-drywall this whole entire hallway with very, very thin drywall. So we'll put very, very thin drywall right over this wood paneling and just re-drywall the whole entire hallway. And then the stairs too, would refinish the stairs. Couple things you could do here. You could either just go right over the wallpaper with the small drywall I was talking about, or just try ripping down the wallpaper. Kind of depends. You'll see once you get into that, if it's super easy to rip off a drywall, I mean the wallpaper, which typically it isn't, you could just go down that road. But a lot of the time, just going right over it is the easiest thing to do. But notice these floors are good. This is the downstairs. So we're in the downstairs, and as you see right here, that is the kitchen. So what we'd want to do is would want to make this area to the right the dining area, and would want to open up this wall and walk into the kitchen from like an open concept type of thing. Okay, so that wall that we were just looking at is this wall. So this would be open, and you'd have a full kitchen over here with that dining area. And you can see it a little bit better right here. Some more drywall repair. This is where we'd have to add the third bedroom. So would take this wall right here and would probably have to move it a little bit over, if possible, if it's not load bearing. So what you want to look at when you're taking down these walls, you want to make sure that these walls aren't load bearing, which means that it's not being held by no supported beams or anything like that. So you could just take it down and move it. If that's the case, if it is load bearing, then you have to do what you call an LVL, which is like a support beam on the top of the wall, and then open it up with another wall there. But this is where we would add the bedroom. Some more drywall repair right here would probably get rid of this whole entire thing and just put new drywall up. So these are like little panels right here, and we'd just rather have regular drywall. It's almost like kind of like drop ceiling. This is another bathroom renovation. This is just a half bath, so there's only a sink and a toilet, but it would be a whole entire bathroom full gut. This would be the living room. Living room doesn't really need much. Tear off all this wallpaper. Refinish the floors. Electrical system needs a whole new update. New panel, pretty much rewiring throughout, update the circuits, update all the plugs and all that stuff. This is the heating system. The heating system, I'd want to get somebody to look at it. It was put in there, I want to say it was 2007. So it's not like crazy old. And I was told that it still cranks. So I don't think we'd have to replace it, but this is something that I want to get a quote from and get that inspected. One thing I look at when we're now down in the basement, by the way. One thing I'm looking at when I'm down in the basement is this. These are the floor joists and all the floorboards. I'm making sure that there's no rot anywhere. Okay, because that gets expensive. That's like structural work that's super expensive. And then another thing I'm looking at is this. This is the foundation. The foundation was really good here. Also the floor joists and everything. There was no rot. What are we looking at now? Oh, we're now in the garage. The garage was massive. No work really needs to be done in the garage. Besides the garage door, actually. Need a new garage door. Now we're on the exterior. The roof. So one thing we're looking at in the exterior, the roof was good here. So we're looking at the roof. We're also looking at the siding. Siding needs to be done throughout, so that's a big expense. So you see this like nasty wood siding right here. You got to get rid of that. You go right over it with vinyl siding. Yeah, you see this is the garage door that needs to be replaced. And yeah, Felipe, can you, this deck too. This deck needs to be repaired. That deck needs to be repaired, and also this sliding door. Actually, it wasn't even a sliding door. Would replace it with a sliding door. So this back here would be the new bedroom, and you would come out to your sliding door to your backyard from your bedroom. Felipe, can you think about anything else that could be done to this property that you saw?
But pretty much you covered it all. Maybe some landscaping, but it doesn't look like it really needs anything too serious.
Yeah, we could use some landscaping actually in the front here, just some cleanup. It's also like the winter time right now, so everything's kind of dead. So it's kind of hard to see that. And if we bought this property right now, we'd probably be selling in the time where stuff starts growing in. So there could be some landscape. You see this rod right here, we'd have to fix that. So yeah, that's what we're looking at when we're doing a walkthrough of a property. Okay, boom. So we have walked through the property. Okay, we have gotten our ARV. Now we have to analyze the deal with those numbers. So what we came up with the repair budget was $100,000. So we're going to factor in What was that ARV?
425.
425 with $100,000 rehab budget. And we're going to see what that looks like. And I'm going to pull up the calculator to see exactly what we can offer for this property. All right, so we're going to go through this line by line. This is what they don't teach you on YouTube, but we're going to teach you on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So as you see here, this is just a analyzation sheet, right? You plug in the numbers and it pops up your profit and your cash on cash return and all that type of stuff. As far as a fix and flip. And then if you're looking to wholesale the deal, you're obviously going to take the number that you come out with for your purchase and contract price right here. Whatever number makes sense for your fix and flipper, you got to subtract that number. So let's just say your fix and flipper runs through this analyzation. He wants to make 40 grand and boom, that lands you at 225, but you want to make 10K. You got to subtract this number 225 by 10K and you're now at 215. And that's where you got to lock this deal up at. But let's go through these numbers really quick. I'm going to show you guys why each section is what it is. So ARV, what are we doing that for that? 425. Okay, this project, we're going to say this project is going to take us 6 months. From the day that we close to the day that we sell it. Should take about 6 months. Let's start off with the list price. $250,000. Okay, this right here, this line is the purchase contract. What are we buying this house for? What is the purchase price? Closing costs and title insurance. So when you close on a house, you got to pay attorneys money to do everything, to do the title search, to transfer the deed, to do all the paperwork and all these things. You got to do that. Plus, you got to get something called title insurance. These are all fees that come out of your pocket right up front whenever you buy a house. So whenever you buy a house, you are coming up with 3%, which is probably even a little bit more than that in some cases, depending on where you're at and who you're using for your title company and stuff. But factor in about 3% for your closing costs and your title insurance. And this 3% goes off of your contract price. So for this, boom, we're going to have $12,750 worth of closing costs and title insurance. Now we get into our renovation. Our renovation on this one we said was $100,000. That brings us to 100 grand. Monthly maintenance, pool, landscape. You know, there's no pool here. There's no landscaping during the winter time. But well, let's just keep it at $100. You know, sometimes you got some. Let's think about it. What are some things that you can maintenance?
Here in the winter, snow, if
Yeah,
anything.
goo. Yeah, love it. Maybe some snow removal, that type of stuff. Just add $100 minimum. Some people in different areas, they might be in a place like Arizona or something. They got to spray for like the freaking scorpions and all these things. So there's that. Now, here's where your hard money cost comes in. Okay, this is where everybody gets a little bit lost. Like, yo, what the heck are you talking about? So, loan amount. This is what your hard money lender is probably going to do. This fix and flip calculator is geared towards our business and how our hard money lender lends to us. But I need you guys to write this down. The hard money lender, when they lend you money, they're typically going to lend you up to a percentage of the purchase price and then 100% of the rehab. So it's important that you do that calculation in that specific way. So our purchase price right here is $250,000. So our lender would lend 90% of this, which is what, Felipe?
90% of 250.
Is so it's important that you do it this way. or you reach out to your hard money lender and see how they do it. But most hard money lenders that I've used, they lend a certain amount of money of the purchase price and then 100% of the rehab. So 250 times 0.9, you're at 225. Okay. So 225 is what they would lend towards the purchase price. And then they would lend up to 100% of the rehab. So that's why you see this here, 325.6. Our renovation right here is $100,600 plus the 225 that we just talked about that they're going to lend on for the purchase price. You have that. Then you also have your points, right? And that's what this. No. Hold on, I messed up. This is the interest rate. This is what they are charging you. So they're going to take this loan amount that they're giving you. They're going to give you this much money. They're going to give you this much money to buy the house and for the renovation. Okay. So they're going to gear their interest rate towards this number. But how do they do that? They take the loan amount that they're giving you, 325.6, and they times that by this number, 12%. So 0.12. That brings you to $39,072. So over the course of 12 months, that's what you would have to pay every for the whole entire year in order to have this loan. But when you have a loan, hard money charges you monthly. So what do you got to do? You got to divide this by 12. And that brings you to 32.56. So every single month, you're going to pay your hard money lender $3,256 just straight out of your pocket. Okay, this is what it's going to cost to borrow this money. So you have to factor this in. You're going to pay this every single month. This is just straight interest. This is not paying down this loan at all. This is just their fee for you borrowing the money. And that's going right in their pocket. So you take this 32.56 and you times it by how many months you're going to be in the project. For this one, we said 6. Boom, you end up at 19,536, which, as you see right here, boom, that's what we're going to have to pay in interest throughout the whole entire project. Now, loan arrangement and or points. So this is points. This is like how much is it going to cost us for them to give us the loan. So whenever somebody gives you a loan, a hard money lender, they charge you right up front. Okay, not only are they charging you during the project and they're charging you interest every single month, but they're also charging you points up front. This is just like their fee for you borrowing the money. So right up front, they get this right at close. So they get 3% of this loan amount that they're giving you right up front. So for us, these are the terms that we get. We get 90%. We get 12% for our interest rate, and then we get 3 points. That's what our terms typically are with our hard money lender. So right up front, we're paying them this 3 points. So we got to factor that in. Extra loan fees. They also charge, like hard money lenders would do this all the time. And I can pull up a HUD statement on a different video and show you guys all these line items, but extra loan fees while you're going through this, they're going to charge you like loan origination fees and like transfer fees and like all these little extra fees that they just tack on there. So we tack in about 0.5% of the loan amount for that. Property taxes for this property, it's about $3,000 over the course of the year. We're going to be into it for 6 months, so that leaves us at $1,500. Insurance is going to be about $300 a month, and we got to pay that for 6 months, which brings us to $1,800. Utilities, we factor in about $300 a month. That's your electricity, your gas, all that type of stuff. $1,800. We're gonna pay for that. So this is your holding cost. This is what it's gonna take to buy the deal and hold on to it. Now you have something called selling costs. What is it going to cost to sell this property? Because when you sell it, you're going to sell it on the market with a real estate agent. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to factor in the staging and marketing and photos and stuff like that. Sometimes your real estate agent will cover all this, but a lot of the times it's you. So we factor in about $300 for that. We hire a really good video guy to get in there and do his thing and stage it and do all that type of stuff. Closing costs, concessions, benzers. Closing costs is what we just talked about in the beginning up here. You got to pay the same exact stuff when you close on it on the back end. So you pay closing costs, which is about 2%. And then we say concessions, which means like a buyer is going to come in and say, hey, I need you to fix this, that, or the other. Or I need a discount or whatever the case is. And typically we'll factor in about 1% just to be careful for that. Credit to the buyer. There's not really a credit in most cases. Sales commission. This is the agent's commission. Now, I don't know why this calculator does this. As you see up here, 2.5, that is the percentage. So we're paying each agent 2.5%, which is 10,000 something bucks on each side. So just to sell this house, it's going to cost us almost 35,000 bucks right here. So all in all, what we're all in the deal is 433,682. So that's all these things added up. Okay. And what were we going to resell it at? 425. So at this purchase price, we would lose money. Isn't that funny? We would literally lose 8,600 bucks if we bought this deal at $250,000. Okay. So let's just say we wanted to make 10,000 bucks a month. We're like, hey, let's just try to squeak out 10,000 bucks a month. Let's see where we have to be. Well, our estimated profit there would be about 56. So we're going to add, let's see, 4,000. Yeah, we're going to be somewhere around 187 for this property in order for this to make sense for us. Because let's just say we wanted to make that 60 rand. Some people are cool with just making 30 rand. Let's see what that would be. So if you're fixing and flipping and you have a business, you should be abiding by some sort of criteria. Like if you're basing your fix and flip business off of like underwriting and stuff, and you got a ton of volume and you're putting in a ton of offers, you should automatically be like, okay, we're only doing deals if it's this ROI. So if you look down here, upfront cash requirements, this is how much cash you were going to have to come out of pocket in order to do the deal. And you see all these up here. Your down payment, because the hard money lender is only lending up to 90%. So you got to come up with the extra 10%. You also got to come up with the points that we talked about earlier. You also got to come up with the extra loan fees and your homeowner's insurance and your prepaid interest. Sometimes your hard money lender will make you prepay like a half a month ahead of time. And then your closing costs. So literally just to buy this house, this Felipe, a lot of people don't get this. A lot of people think that like hard money lenders are just going to do it and you do this deal with no cash out of your pocket. Literally, in order to buy this house at 225, let's just say you bought it at 225, you would have to come up with $49,174 in order to close on this house. And then you have to pay your interest every single month. But let's just talk about the cash on cash return of the upfront cost. That's what this is based off of. Do you know what cash on cash return is, Felipe?
It's basically the percentage you make on your cash.
Mm-hmm. Love it. So it's like if I let's just say I go buy candy bars. I buy 10 candy bars for 10 bucks and I sell all the candy bars and I now have $15. How much profit did I get, Felipe?
I'll be honest, I've spaced out. Say that again.
Let's just say you bought candy bars at 10 bucks.
Yep.
And you resold all your candy bars at $15. How much money did you make?
You made $5 depending on how many sold. But you got a 5%, a $5 margin.
Okay, so you made $5.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in order to figure out your cash on cash return in that situation, you would take the $5 that you made and then you would divide it by the $10 that you put in the deal.
Yep.
So you made 50% on your money. You made $5 on that $10 that you initially put in. So that's what we got to look at here. If we're putting in $49,000 and we're about to make $18,000, this is a 38% cash on cash return. Of your own personal cash. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to figure out, what are you comfortable risking of your own cash getting into these deals? So you have to figure out, there isn't like a booklet on this, on cash return, on what cash on cash return you should want. You have to know this as an investor. You have to, it comes with, how much risk you want to take and all that type of stuff. How much margin are you willing to risk? Other people will take cash on cash return just from this number. Hey, how much is it to get into the deal? $406,000. How much are we going to make on it? This. A lot of people want to make, in this situation, when they base it off of this, they want to make somewhere around like 12%. So this is a good example for you guys. If you guys are selling to like fix and flippers that have these crazy businesses, okay, that do a bunch of volume, that look at these offers all day, what they're looking at. So now this is what if you're just like looking to do a couple different deals, this is what I look at. I'm only in like one fix and flip at a time. So I'm looking at a couple different things. If you're looking at me as a buyer, I'm like what do you call that? An outlier. I'm not like the fix and flippers that, go through a crazy what's it called? Structure every single time. Because I don't have a full-fledged fix and flip business. I'm just a fix and flipper. I have a full-fledged wholesale business that fix and flips on the side, if that makes sense. But a fix and flipper that just does fix and flips and has a whole entire fix and flip business, this is how they're probably going to go after it. This is why it's important to go talk to your buyers if you're wholesaling, because every buyer buys differently. For me, I'm looking at like, hey, how much time is this going to take me? Oh, it's going to take me 6 months. How much would I like to make over those 6 months? For one, how much cash on cash return am I going to get of my own personal cash? Does this make sense? Can I go get this somewhere else in a different business or a different investment or whatever the case is? I'm looking at all those types of things. Most people, though, they're just looking at this. How much did I put in this deal? Everything. And then what is my cash on cash return on that? And typically people like to be around 12%. Okay. So of that 406, times that by 12%, Felipe, what do you get?
Let me do that real quick. 406 times 12%. We're at 48,000.
48,000. So what you're going to have to do if you're wholesaling and you're trying to sell this to like an avid fix and flipper that has a big business, you're going to want to get this number somewhere, just to round everything off. You're going to want to get this around $50,000. So how do we get this around $50,000? And that's just what your cash buyer would buy it at. What are we at right now? 18. So you got to work these numbers a little bit. Okay, we're around there. So a cash buyer who has an avid fix and flip business is probably going to want to buy this deal around that 196. I bet their MAO would probably round off to about $200,000. If this was their numbers, right? If they came up with the repairs at 100,000 and all this 100,000 is also me being pretty conservative. But that's what I'm doing right now. The ARV is also me being conservative. But that's how we're running numbers on these deals right now. We're not like trying to push these ARVs or trying to push these repairs, right? Like, put it this way, right now, if you're sitting there and you're like, hey, let me try to make these numbers work. Well, what if the market doesn't shift and we can sell it at 450? What does that look like? No, 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 no. Do not do that right now. Because if you do that right now, you're going to be in trouble. Because if it does shift, then you're screwed. So run your numbers super conservative right now. That's why I ran these numbers super conservatively. So whether you're out fixing and flipping or you're trying to wholesale or whatever the case is, you can use this video to go submit offers. It's important to understand the numbers, like really understand how people buy houses, especially if you're wholesaling, because if you're just submitting offers like blindly, just like this, and you're just like, hey, throwing numbers out there and hoping something sticks, you could potentially be putting sellers in a bad position. Not only that, you could be giving this industry a bad rep. So it's important to really get educated on the numbers and how people buy houses the way that we buy them. I hope this brought y'all some value. Please shoot me a DM at the Mike Gomes if you need anything from this video or any advice or anything like that. Feel free to give me a shout. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Till next time, peace out.